Hey everyone, so today's review is going to be on the Rimmel Stay Matte Liquid Mousse Foundation. If you guys are familiar with the Stay Matte powder, then this is a new addition to their line, and I believe they also have a primer available. So I'm quite excited to review this product because I'm a big fan of the Stay Matte powder, and I have high hopes, or I had high hopes for this product. Now it says Stay Matte, so anything that says matte for me is something that I really want to try because I have oily skin, and I always prefer foundations, whether they're liquid or powder, to kind of like give me a matte or demi-matte finish instead of having that dewy look. Now the shade that I have here is 200 Soft Beige, and I had to try a few other foundations, using their testers, because this one didn't have a tester, and from trying the other foundations, I found that this one was the one that had a little bit more yellow undertone than the other shades available. As they only have 6, it's very limited and it's very difficult to find something that really matches you. So I went with 200 because it had a little bit more yellow. Now, if you are of a deeper skin tone, you're not going to find a shade for you available because of the shades that I've seen. 6 is really poor. I find that Rimmel does not understand that here in the UK, there's all different skin tones. So hopefully in the future, they'll get the gists and they'll start releasing a little bit more shades. Now, talking about the packaging, I really like it. It's a plastic tube, and it's very cute. It actually reminds me of BB creams that have been released and a few that I own. I like the packaging, I like the color, better saying, and the liquid, well, it's not really liquid, it's mousse. It's very thick. So when you squeeze it off the tube, it comes out really nicely and it doesn't look messy. And I've used it about 5 times and it still looks pretty clean. So I really like that. When it comes to blendability, the foundation blends really nice, and I also find that a little goes a long way. So from the demo, you can see that I only use a tiny little bit, that's like a pea size, and I dot it around my face and I try my best to blend it in quite quick because I find that this foundation sets very quick. So you need to be fast and trying to blend it. I used my fingers before and it worked really well, and I prefer to use a foundation brush, or just a kabuki brush, better saying, because that's what I'm using in the demo. But with the fingers, it works really nice. Now, the first time I used the foundation, I applied too much and I felt and looked like I had a mask on, and I was like, oh my god, this thing does not match my skin. So that kind of like annoyed me. But the second day, I decided to give it another try, and I applied a little bit less, and the foundation blended in with my skin really nice. Now, the finish of this foundation is powdery. It's not only matte, it does look powdery, especially if you apply 2 layers, you will have that powdery or cakey look. I find that it has medium coverage and it's buildable to full if that's what you like, but for me, medium coverage is more than enough, so I tend not to apply 2 layers of any foundation I own, especially if it's a matte and that already has medium coverage. So I'm going to read the description of the foundation. It says, Feather Light Liquid Mousse blends flawlessly for naturally looking, all-day shine control. Silky smooth formula leaves a perfect matte, baby soft finish, lightweight texture, won't feel heavy or greasy. So that's what it says at the back, and that's where you'll find the description on the website as well. Now, it definitely feels very light on the skin. It doesn't feel like a heavy foundation, but it does not minimize pores. And I read a description somewhere, I'm not sure if it was here or on the website, where it says it minimizes the size of pores. Because I have really large ones right over here and in the center of my forehead, I need to use a primer with this foundation because it will enhance them, especially because I like to scrutinize my face when I'm using a new product to see if it's covering all my flaws, and I find that this particular foundation does enhance my pores. Now, I do not set it with a powder either because it's winter and I don't feel that I need to set it with a powder straight away. As I said, it has a powdery finish, so if you apply powder straight away, you will look a little bit powdery or cakey, if you want to call it that way. So I prefer not to do it straight away. Now going back to the shades that they have available, even though this one on camera looks like it's matching me pretty well, I still find that this foundation has a little bit of pink or kind of like neutral in it. I'm quite yellow on my neck and on the rest of my body, and this foundation does not have the amount of yellow I would want it to have. But then again, the price point, £4.49, that's how much I pay for it. I'm really not going to complain or say it's a downside, because the foundation is very, very affordable. Because the foundation say it's matte, I was expecting the foundation to be matte the whole day. However, no foundation has stayed matte on my face without me having to either blot or powder my face throughout the day, retouch my face, because I do get oily throughout the day, especially on my nose and on my forehead. So this foundation stays matte about 2 to 3 hours. And I need to say again, it is winter, so it's not hot, there's no humidity outside, it's just winter, it's cold. So my face does not produce as much oil as it would if it was warmer. So it stays matte about 2 to 3 hours. After that, I may need to blot, but it's not like overly oily, so I don't worry too much until I reach my 6th hour. Now, what I've noticed as well about the foundation is that it does sometimes settle into my fine lines here, or my laugh lines, I better say, and sometimes I just have to kind of like retouch a little bit, but it's nothing too major. And this is without setting my foundation with a powder and without wearing it with a primer. When it comes to longevity, Rimmel does not claim that this foundation is a long wearing foundation, but surprisingly it is. It lasts on my skin for about 9 hours. And when I got home the first day that I was wearing it, I still had my blush, and the only areas where the foundation was kind of like fading a little bit was on my nose, where I have a lot of oiliness going around, and on my forehead. But that's expected. I get that with a lot of foundations that I own. It doesn't transfer that much, and it sets quite quickly, so it doesn't have that tacky feeling on the skin. So overall, I really like this foundation. It's a thumbs up from me. It's my first foundation from Rimmel, and I'm quite pleased and pleasantly surprised of how much I like it. The only downside about this line for me is that it doesn't have enough shades, and I wish that it just had more yellow undertones, cool undertones, and deeper skin tones, you know, the whole shebang. Hopefully Rimmel and other brands that release products here in the UK will start embracing that. There's a lot of women of color that want to try their products, but they end up going to high-end department stores because they cannot find their shades at the drugstore. So that is my review on the Rimmel Stay Matte foundation. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Thumbs up if you did, and I'll speak to you guys very, very soon. Bye.